Because of the following special program, Mr. Merlin will not be presented this evening.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
Terrificon, Connecticut's biggest Comic Con, is back at the Mohegan Sun Expo Center in Uncasville, Connecticut on August 16th through the 18th. See your favorite stars from TV and film and shop for comic books, toys, and memorabilia. With top creators from Marvel and DC, costume contests with prizes, and so much more. Tickets on sale now at Terrificon.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress with you today, and man, it is good to see Chris Burnham, because for a long time he was living in Chicago in the formative years of Word Balloon and really of podcasting in general. And he and I were just reminiscing off the air before we started about the aughts and how much fun we had back then. Great to see you, man.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, long live Dark Tower, long live Around Comics. And that crazy. Remember there was that book going around, like there was like a whole book about comic book podcasts, and there was like some dumb picture of the Craigcast.
I was chapter 2 in that book. I think I either Geek Speak or Around Comics were chapter 1. And yeah, Eric Houston wrote it for Tomorrows. It's funny. I don't know if you saw the San Diego news regarding Tomorrows. Michael Urey from Alter Ego, or rather, Mike does Back Issue, and he also does Retro Pop. Those two Tomorrows books. He's retiring, and Ed Cato, the Captain Action guy that I'm good friends with, he's going to take over editing Retro Pop. And cool. God, man, that's all my reruns of my childhood of 60s and 70s shows and 80s shows. Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But did you pay attention to the San Diego news? Obviously you and I were not there.
Not much. I'm basically chasing my kids around. I saw Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, and I saw a couple other little things, but not I'm not too plugged in at the moment. My kids discovered Toy Story this week, so that's my whole life, is them running around screaming about Buzz Lightyear and whatnot. They watched all 4 of them and like all the shorts within a 3 or 4 day period.
That's not bad. At least it's entertaining stuff. It can be stuck watching the garbage kids movies and stuff.
Most of the stuff, they're our take. I guess I'm about as mature as an 8-year-old, because most of the stuff they like, I think's pretty good too. So they're all about Phineas and Ferb. I like a lot. They just have jumped from Camp Coral to the original SpongeBob. That first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants is amazing. It is so good, spectacular episode. The rest of the show is fine, but that first episode is like a work of art. What else? That's awesome. They blew through all the Despicable Me movies and the Minions stuff. Have you seen Minions 2 is fantastic. You would love that one.
I haven't watched Minions 2 yet, but no, I love the Minions. The Minions are awesome, and the shorts are great. They're very funny. I enjoy them. Totally dialed into that. The crowd wants to say hello. Nerdette saying hey. Good to see you, Nerdette. Hello. Thank you for that. JW says you rule.
Nice.
Jerry says this is going to be a good one. I think so. Absolutely. I always have good conversations with Burnham. And Caesar of Rome. I can't be here for long. I just want to say thank you, Chris Burnham, for creating Bat Cow.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks very much. You're welcome.
A fine addition to the Bat Pantheon.
Yeah, pretty good. But I got to say this before we forget. So I saw Despicable Me 4. I think that's the new one with my kids. The Kansas City Planetarium or something has like the biggest screen in the area, and we saw it. I thought it was fine. My kids freaked out. Like they said it was the best movie they'd ever seen, and my little guy who is 6 loved it so much. In the middle of like the climax, he gets up out of his seat and starts doing karate moves, and it was the funniest, best thing I've ever seen. Like as it was happening, I was like, this is all I need. Like I've accomplished all my goals in life. I'll never see anything so great as my little 6-year-old, straight up, like no shame, no nothing, just like so into it. It's just like karate moves right there in the seat. So funny, amazing.
That's excellent. You're raising him right, man. Very good. Very, very good. You got 2 sons.
Yeah.
And how old are they again?
They are 8 and 6.
8 and 6. Very cool. Oh, that's a great age, man. There you go.
Yeah,
oh God. Good. And now as they get older and they get more and more age appropriate, it's like, all right, here's the PG-13 movies. All right. Now finally, when they're teenagers, here's the R movies. All right.
I'm very excited for all that. They're still. I don't know if I've done a great job or a bad job, but they're still like anytime they see a gun, they're like, oh, is there a GUN in this? So they're like they're totally like hands off of all that stuff. So like even Star Wars, they'll just catch a preview. They're like, oh, too many guns, and they'll run away from it. It's like, all right, so like I guess I'm keeping them safe. At some point, they're gonna have to, watch someone get shot. I guess I don't know.
Well, you never. Hey, man, be careful because I know when I saw Bambi at a very early age, it was like, wait a minute, no, that's not good. His mom died.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So, jeez. Anyway, geez, man, you're killing it as always. And folks, listen, we can talk about the new stuff, but if you want to go back, like Caesar even brought up Bat Cow, and I'm ready with my Batman Incorporated image that Chris did back in the day. But we can talk about Doom Patrol from last year as well. But we should talk about recent stuff because obviously, was there a hotter book than the Turtles? And you did the Donatello issue, right?
Yeah, I'm working on the Donatello issue right now. I'm in the thick of it.
Oh,
that comes out in October, I think.
Okay. And Joel, did Joel do number 1? Is that the deal?
Yeah. Joel did the first one, and then Raphael Albuquerque and Cliff Chang are doing. I can't remember who's doing which, but they're 2 and 3, and then I'm issue 4 with Donatello. And then that image you showed of him coming out of the jail cell, that is in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha issue, which was like it's kind of like the bridge between like the last 15 years of IDW comics and like the new. It's not really a reboot; it's a refocus. I don't repopularizing. I don't know.
Well, Skybound, right?
It's IDW, and then Jason Aaron is like the big famous writer on it. So
excuse me. It is still IDW. Yeah.
So it's all.
Here's another great. There's another great page.
Oh, hey, look at that! Pretty good.
Very good. Absolutely, man.
So really, yeah. So in the scripts, Jason's like, "Oh, we're really trying to get back to the old Mirage days." And I've been, a Turtles fan since I read about them in the back of, I don't know, it was like the New England Comics newsletter or something. So I've been like since the Donatello micro issue, and like maybe TMNT. Oh, I guess the Fugitoid magazine, which came out alongside like TMNT number 5. So I've been there since 1987 or whatever. So I was like almost caught the first wave of Turtles. But I've been really trying to dial in and channel the old crunchy black and white stuff.
That's the original stuff, and that's what I was reading about in Amazing Heroes back in the mid '80s. Mm-hmm. When they were doing it on their own and everything, and it was a very weird but fun black and white book.
Yeah,
and I don't blame them for making the deals they did. All they did was make them print money and get more awareness. And I mean, the Turtles are right there with any superhero franchise. I love. Did you watch the Seth Rogen reboot stuff?
I haven't seen it yet. I've been told it's a little scary for the kids. Like I think Buster Moody's kid had nightmares, and I was like, I don't need to get involved with anyone having nightmares. So maybe next year I'll try it out on the kids, and then it's going to be Turtle Mania from here on out.
The great thing is truly all of the nerd product has like introductory stuff that you can spoon feed the kids on. Even God, I forget the name. What was it? With the mini Marvels where they had giant heads and little bodies.
Oh yeah,
Superhero Squad. You had
yeah,
that for Marvel, and you have and you got great early stuff for Star Wars. That again, if the blasters
yeah.
are too intense and stuff,
Yeah. My kids were all about all the Lego Avengers and the Lego Spider-Man shorts. They're totally obsessed with that. And
Sure.
Chris Moreno working on Spider-Man or Spidey and His Amazing Friends, I guess it's called, with Spider-Gwen and little Miles. Great show. Chris Moreno is the art director on it, maybe. Super great. And so that introduced them to all those characters. Pretty cool.
God, that's another old buddy that I haven't talked to forever, Moreno.
Yeah, he's killing it.
That's cool. That's cool. Here, JW has a question that I don't know if we've ever discussed it, and that is he wants to know if you ever crossed paths with Jeff Darrow in Chicago. Also, he hears Burnham put some particular artist's work in his backgrounds, like paintings and such. Have you ever revealed what artist it is? So, 2 questions for you.
Good questions. Yeah, I used to see Jeff Darrow once in a while. We've got we're friends now. We had a semi-contentious relationship, I guess. Like I'm a bit abrasive, and he was not into it. So I was like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a jerk. Talking to him at Artist Alley, and so we'd be like getting along for like 10 minutes, and then I'd like, be a little over familiar and, bust his balls as though we actually were friends when, we're not. So, poor read on my part of how good friends we were. And so like, I would say 2-3 times, he, told me to piss off, but now we're pretty good buddies now. And obviously he's a, huge, influence on my, scribbles and a, fantastic artist. The paintings that I put in the background, I haven't done it in a while. But I used to put Gustave Doré, the Divine Comedy illustrations. Anytime I had to draw a painting in the background, I would just flip through that and say, oh, this is a good horizontal one. And I would just stick that in the background. But I haven't done that in, I don't know, feels like quite a while. That's a good idea to get back into that. I don't think there's any paintings in this Turtles issue I'm working on, but maybe I'll slide it into the police station or something. We'll see.
So is this a middle chapter, or the Donatello issue that you're doing?
It's the so I guess this is issue 4. So I think this is I think like each turtle gets their own like focus issue, and then at the end, I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler to say the turtles get together and start going on adventures again. So so that it's like the end of like the reintroduction, and then the team is theoretically back together, and gonna go kick some people, I guess.
That's cool. That's
Spoiler,
cool. That's great.
Kicks.
That's great. So did IDW pick you? Did Jason pick you? How did you get involved?
I don't know whose idea it was. I got an email totally out of the blue from what is that dude's name who just quit IDW? Yeah, shit. Oh, I'm an asshole. So someone's going to shout and tell me who it is. I can't remember. Oh, Jamie Rich. Jamie Rich, how are you? I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, I got an email out of the blue from Jamie Rich that, hey, we're putting a team together, Jason Aaron, and I think he said Joel and Cliff and Raphael are all on board. Do you want in? It's like, yes, I do. So yeah, pretty cool. So like he's plugging his DC Rolodex. So it's like the class of DC 2012 or whatever. Whatever the appropriate reference is. I think we were all New 52 guys. Is that right? That seems basically right. Yeah. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's great, man. No, and again, is this your first official turtle work?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I did one for a hero initiative, one of those like charity, everyone draws on the cover and they raffle those off and then they collect them all in a big book. So I did one of those, but I think that's the only real-ish turtle thing I did before this.
Okay, all right. Again, it looks fantastic, and obviously the action lends itself to your kind of, I think, classic style. I mean, that's some good. There's some great shots right there, even in this one page.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, pretty happy with how this is turning out. It feels appropriately crunchy, and it's fun to lean into not really drawing too many curves. So I'm just trying to like leaning into making it a little more angular than I normally do. It feels it's more fun and a little bit more natural. Pretty cool, I guess.
That's excellent. Now, do you also have something coming up in Conan?
Yes. Yeah. This is breaking news here for Word Balloon. I'm doing a backup story for Savage Sword of Conan. Like that's the big magazine that they're doing again. I can't tell you what the story's about. Although I mean, Conan kills a bunch of people and there's going to be some boobs in it. But it's like a classic, balls.
Are there going to be boobs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like this, it's like the old school stuff.
Sure, yeah, like the magazine,
yeah, balls to the wall Conan stuff. And if you've seen it, like it's like the full magazine size and it's on newsprint, so it really has the feel of the.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool, and each issue has it's like 2 or 3 stories, so they're like, I think our story is 20 pages long, and so they're trying to figure out where it's gonna, which issue it's gonna, fit in, with respect to the other stories. So I can't, there's no release date on it yet, but it's super dope. They're very happy with it.
So the paper quality is that old news rag, black and white magazine style paper?
Yeah.
Okay. Knowing that, do you adjust your art knowing that it's going to be that type of paper, and you got to, concern yourself about what'll come through clearly and won't, given that it is kind of a lesser paper than something like Baxter paper or another crisp, magazine style paper?
Yeah. So what I decided to do was I'm just doing. I drew it and then I gray toned it myself, and so I'm just doing one gray tone for everything. So like for both shadows and environment and people's clothes color. It's just the 30% gray or whatever it is. For everything, just to keep it nice and simple. And basically just going, for clarity more than, more than getting like super, detailed and annoying with it. Like really just like to make it read as easily as possible. And also, I just didn't want to like some of the other work in the issue. It looks great, but I was like, I'm not painting in black and white. I don't feel like doing watercolor. Like I'm not in the mood for that shit. So I'm just like, zigging where some of the other people were zagging. So it's like I'm just doing. As simple as I can. I think it looks pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. You can't reveal
I
who
showed
you're.
you the first 9 pages. I think you'll agree it looks pretty cool.
Well, yeah, you were nice enough to do that. I'm sorry, folks. That's secret stuff, but I'm really happy for Chris that he's doing this. You can't reveal who your writer is, or can you?
I think I should probably keep it a secret until they want to. Okay. But it's how about this? It's someone I've worked with before, and it's
okay. Hey, I love what Titan's doing with Conan. I'm glad that Jim Zub is still the main writer. I think he does a tremendous job, and it's been forever since I talked to Jim. And I should, again, this is reminding me to maybe get in touch with Jim and do an update with everything that is going on. Oh, now James Bunt wants a process question. What program do you use for your art?
I draw it for real with my fingers. Like this is. My program is reality.
Beautiful.
I do use Photoshop to clean it up, and I will I'll draw it small, then I blow it up in Photoshop and put it out. But it's 90% the real deal. I wish I had the the whatever the word is to quit Photoshop and find some other option that's not courting the AI bullshit, but so far I'm too lazy and not willing to screw up my process and like is it going to work with my scanner, and like I don't have the mental energy to deal with it, so I don't know. Hopefully the robots aren't stealing all my shit. I don't know.
Chris, I get it, man. I'm using a lot of software that, and I told you off the air, and people know my next year is my 20th year, and I'm still in some ways still playing by the 2012 playbook as far as apps and equipment and things like that. Because people say, "What should I use? I want to start a podcast." It's like, I'm really the last guy to ask because, again, I mean, I use what works. I don't worry about shinier apps or anything like that I have to relearn various skills. And I'm a very basic audio and video editor when it comes to editing, if any. So I get that. I totally get that. Let's see. Oh, he wants to know, given that you're using analog, are you using Zipatone?
No. Oh, so it did the gray tone. I did do that in Photoshop. I'm not. I find Zipatone super annoying to work with. Like it looks cool, but it takes forever. And every time I do it, I'm like, never again, never again, never again. Like every cut I make, I'm like, this is a nightmare, never again. And also, I'm not really familiar with how to make sure it prints without that weird, shitty, moire patterns. Once in a while, you get I'll read a comic with bad moire, and it just like ruins the entire comic. It's like I want nothing to do with that. Like if that happened to my comics, it would be the end of my life and the end of everyone else's life too. I'd kill everyone. I couldn't handle it. So no Zipatone for me.
That's hilarious. I always like that because it's got that retro look. Yeah, and that's kind of why I like it. But I respect that. I totally can appreciate not wanting that weird effect.
Yeah, like it looks great until you shrink it 5%, and it's just like, it's ruined. Oh well.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Very cool. No, and it's great that you're still, doing it the old way, man, and everything. And all it does is generate pages, and your aftermarket, obviously, is certainly
right.
full. Who reps you, Chris?
I am with Felix. Oh yeah. One of Felix's biggest buyers or whatever did an interview with all of us, and one of his questions was, why are you still drawing traditionally? And it's like, well, for the art sales and laziness.
I respect that. Is this David Brothers? Is David Brothers watching a word balloon interview? That's shocking.
Oh, hey, shit.
I hear people were talking about
him the other day with a hot eBay tip.
Say it again.
I just emailed him the other day with a hot eBay tip, some cheap manga I found. I thought he might like.
I heard people were talking about screen tone and had to come see what's up. Oh, there you go.
He
lurks a lot for me. Well, that's very nice, David. He says, I lurk a lot. These are a great resource. I genuinely appreciate that, David. Thank you very much, man. Well, he says comic journalism, baby. Yeah, I'm always a little, I always say, small J, as David is using here. Right. Small J journalism. Not Woodward or Bernstein. It's fucking comic books, as I like to say. But anyway, no, I'm glad you're there, David. It's I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Hey, for people watching, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe. And I know I've got my Facebook viewers as well. Forgive the self commercial here, Chris. But I am 6 or 5 shy of 5,000 subscribers. And that would be a nice round number to hit sooner than later. And I've been kind of stuck around 5,400 and change for a while. And it's like, let me get up there. I mean, good Lord, there's podcasts that have, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more subscribers than me. But, that's on the video side. So, if you don't mind doing that, that would be great. Coming to YouTube and doing that would be fantastic. Thank you. All right, commercial over. Back to Burnham, already in progress. Yeah, tell me about this story you're doing with Brian K. Vaughan. Kids Rule Okay.
Yeah, Kids Rule Okay. Pretty cool. This is the first anyone seeing of this. This is hot off the presses. I think this comes out next month in the new Battle Action #1. This is some pretty deep nerd British comics shit. Kids Rule Okay. It's like all the way back to 1976. I think there's this basically every British comic is in an anthology for whatever reason. That's just how their industry developed. And so in 76, I think there's this predecessor to 2008 AD called Action, which was just super violent, balls to the wall. And the thing that got everyone the most offended and basically ended up getting the magazine shut down was this book called Kids Rule OK, which is all the adults in the world die, and then it's just like, you know, teenagers in the streets like killing each other. It's kind of like, it's like has kind of the energy of the Warriors, I guess, is like maybe the closest analog, but like way meaner. It's like super mean spirited and like anarchic, and just like there's no real morality to it. Just like, this is like, it's awesome. But it basically got the magazine shut down. And in Britain, when an anthology gets shut down, it will often get sucked in and like absorbed into a different one. And so Action got absorbed into Battle to become Battle Action. And then, you know, they take whatever, like the best 2 or 3 strips or whatever from Action, become part of Battle Action. So 2000 AD absorbed both Starlog and Torpedo back in the day. So Strontium Dog, you may know, was, I think, in Star-Lord, and then Roadbusters, which became ABC Warriors, which is where you get Simon Beasley from. That came from Star-Lord as well. So deep nerd shit. I love it. Oh, this leads me back to Dark Tower Comics we were talking about. I would never in a million years be drawing this comic if it weren't for Dark Tower. I don't know if Mark still has this, but he used to have just bins after bins of dollar books, and if you bought 6 of them, it was $5 for 6, and he just had a huge collection of all the 80s reprints of all this weird 2000 AD shit, and I bought every last one of them he had and became totally obsessed with it, which led me to like track down the 2000 AD guys at San Diego and basically just tell them, hey, I'm drawing Judge Dredd, whether you like it or not. And so at this point, I've done, I don't know, 6 projects for them. I drew the cover to 2000 AD number 2000. And that shit is all because of, Mark Beatty having a buttload of back issues for cheap. Like I never would have, been a super British comics nerd if it was not for, that store at, that time. Pretty neat.
So who were your British artist guys that you're like, I can't believe this is beautiful stuff? You mentioned Simon, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I love all of it. Carlos Esquera is, I guess was absolutely amazing. Kev O'Neill, R.I.P., super dope. Yeah. I mean, they're now I'm spacing on now I'm spacing on everyone else's name.
I always tell Gibbons how much I love Rogue Trooper.
Oh yeah, Dave Gibbons is amazing. Although for me, the real Rogue Trooper artist is Colin Wilson. Who just spectacular, like kind of a little bit more from the Mobius school, just absolutely spectacular. Cam Kennedy, super dope. You will probably know him from Star Wars Dark Empire or Boba Fett or whatever the hell the thing was. He also drew Lobo Un-American Gladiators, which is like my favorite non-Beasley Lobo comic, which is basically like Lobo is basically a 2000 AD book, just like set in the DC universe. Like it's just got that total anarchic 2000 AD energy, but like, Lobo was also in, the Legion. But like, other than that, like it could just be like a hyper violent issue of Ace Trucking Company. Like it's just totally just plucked right out of that, style.
No, I've the times that I have gone in and sampled 2000 AD stuff. I'm a Sinister Dexter fan.
Oh yeah.
I just had Diggle on a month or two ago, and all I could do was gush about a lot of his 2000 AD stuff, in addition to everything he's done for American comics. And I love talking to Pat Mills. I learned so much from Pat Mills, and he's so generous with his time. And I love the new stuff he's doing for that matter too. So how is it working for the Brits and for 2000 AD? What's the difference, if there is one?
I mean, it's all basically the same. I mean, they just happen to be on the other side of the earth. Sure. But I mean, other than that, they send you a script and you draw it and they pay you for it. Like it's basically the same.
That's cool.
And they they also have like the magazine dimension, so you just gotta like get your head around that a little bit. But other than that, it's basically. And
have they? And when you're writing for them, are they are they 8-page stories? Are they 6, 12, 10, 4?
This one, I think this was 14. Yeah, this is for a special. So this new Battle Action #1 that comes out in August is like a big magazine, and so there's 2 stories in it, and I imagine they're both 14 pages ish long. So it's like a semi unconventional, presentation of, the British comics anthology.
And we haven't mentioned who the writer is. Tell them who the writer is.
Oh, yeah, Brian K. Vaughan, right? Pretty good.
Not bad. Yeah, Chris.
Spectacular.
That's fantastic. And is this the first time you're working with Brian?
Yes, I met him at a dinner, when I was working on Die 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 with Kirkman. Like, this is, years and years ago, and we seemed to get along pretty well. And we sent a couple of emails back and forth, over the years, but this was just like total fell in my lap. I was supposed to do another project with Garth Ennis for this, but he just didn't, he just, too busy doing other stuff. And he said, well, I feel so bad. How about Brian K. Vaughan instead? Like, yes, sir. I'll take a Brian K. And the script is so fun, so good. It's so clear exactly what to do to make it, get it over. Only script I've ever gotten in 20 years of doing this, where every page of the script equals one page of comics. Like I know a lot of people try to do that, but he's the only person I've ever worked with who actually pulled it off. And apparently all the scripts are like that. He was just like, oh, like he heard some interview with someone who said you're supposed to do it like that. And so like for, his whole career, it's just like, all right, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Pretty good.
That's awesome, man. No, that's really interesting. And yeah, have I heard correctly that Garth is essentially like the de facto editor on Battle Action?
Of this series? Yeah. So he's writing, a lot of them, I guess, and then he, I guess, Oliver Pickles is the actual editor, but I think Garth is the spiritual editor. Like I don't know exactly but yeah, I think he's the. Like he's the person who's really obsessed with all this shit, and so I think he's kind of the driving force of making sure people still care about who Crazy Keller is.
No, that's great. No, he's like the executive producer. It's his creative vision, and Oliver is executing it for him and stuff. The line producer,
making sure that I get paid on time. Yeah,
that's awesome. No, that's great, and truly. This is always the more idiosyncratic. I mean, the boys obviously as well, but I like this side of Garth, the war side and the action side, and when he really gets to just cut loose and do whatever. He's one of my favorites, and I've only talked to him a handful of times, but I've always appreciated the conversation. And smart guy. So I'm really glad that he put you with Vaughn. That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty great. And the story is hilarious and gross and mean. It's just like totally dialed into that, late 70s British, dickhead energy. Like I love it. It's very good script. Really good comic. I like
That's excellent. And I think fans of Nixon's Pals reaching back will find something to enjoy in this story. I think.
I think so, yeah.
I'll leave it at that, but yeah, I think if people in the know what we're talking about, so
yes, oh man,
so that's cool.
I'm
bummed that I'm
life-changing.
What's that?
A life-changing gig at Nixon's Pals. My whole life comes out of that.
Talk about that for a second. That was you and Joe, right, Casey?
Yeah, me and Joe. And so it pretty early on, like I did an issue of Elephant Man with Rich Starkings, and he showed it to Joe, and Joe was just like, hot young talent, give me. And so maybe, I was basically ready for it, but like before I was like had a name or whatever, I was working on this, graphic novel with Joe Casey, like big famous, comic writer or whatever. And it took me, a year and a half to do this, 90-page graphic novel because I had a day job and was working at the theater company or whatever at the time. But like, every time I would, go out to a convention to like, try and get, work that was, that would pay better or whatever, I just had this real, like, oh, I'm not fucking around, confidence. Like you don't know that I'm a big deal, but I know. Like, I'm doing a real book with a real guy that happens to be super dope. Like, you haven't heard of me yet, but you will. So like before that, I was, a lot more sheepish, showing my portfolio. Like, is this good? But like after I was working on this thing, it's like, here, this is good. Whether you hire it or not, hire me or not is up to you. But like this shit is dope.
Didn't they make a Nixon statue?
I don't think so. I don't think that
No?
happened. It sounds
Okay.
good. I think someone may have. Now you're planting a memory in my head. I think someone made one just for shits and giggles. Although you may just be creating a memory in my head.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And again, if someone in the chat knows, please chime in. But yeah, I don't know. I thought I remembered seeing one, and yeah, and again, well, I might be confusing it with some of Jeff Darrow's stuff, like Hard Boiled. I remember Hard
Lots of
Boiled
people
and
thought
stuff.
that Nixon and Nixon's Pals was Nixon from Hard Boiled, and they do look totally the same. And that was basically an accident. Like the script was like, oh, he should look like a young Ed Harris. I was like, all right, here we go. And I don't think I even made the Nixon connection until reviews started coming in. It was like, oh, whoops, well, whatever. Fair enough.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, man. And listen, yeah. I've only got the one example, but I'm sorry. I was always telling you off the air. I'm sorry we didn't talk last year while you were doing Doom Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
But with Dennis Culver, I did talk to Dennis about it, though. And here are your designs of Negative Man and Robot Man. Very cool. Cliff and Larry.
Pretty good. Pretty happy with those drawings. And yeah, that series was super fun. It's always fun to work with someone who you're so close with. Like I used to, Dennis and I shared a studio for however many years in LA, so we were pretty dialed into each other's sensibilities. And I was also constantly on the phone and shooting emails back and forth, and then DM threads like, what do you think about this? Like oh shit, I'm fucking this up. Like, hey, what's wrong with this hand? Help me figure out this hand or whatever. It's always nice to have another brain and another set of eyes to just help you figure out like what is this thing in front of me that I can't see. But yeah, pretty fun and super good comic too. Really happy with how that turned out.
You had a fun gimmick going on the covers too, right? With Alice and her multiple personalities and everything,
oh,
right?
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, we did the first real deal scratch off cover, like the first scratch off comic cover, like theoretically in history. Like I think there was one G.I. Joe cover, but it was always the same thing underneath. It was just always Cobra Commander's face under the thing. But we had, I think, 6 different possibilities when you scratched off. Like no one ever did that before, and I don't think anyone's ever done it since. But super cool, totally works. So exciting, like crazy idea I had one year at San Diego. And when those guys are coming around like with print samples and stuff, and it's just like, wait, you can do that, and just instantly it's like, this is the greatest idea ever, and totally pulled it off on Doom Patrol. And Ben Abernathy, the editor, was like super excited to do something weird, and just totally worked. Like perfect character, perfect idea. The execution is fucking spot on. Like DC production department just fucking totally nailed it. It's awesome.
That's great, and they didn't blink. They bought the gimmick and everything. They liked it.
Yeah, like I mean, I think they had to really figure some shit out to make it work. But that's what they're there for. And I think they were really,
sure.
I think they're excited to take on something new and weird and figure out is this a thing that we can make a shit ton of money on on the next one too? Which they haven't done it yet, but I feel like they're like, we could sell how many copies? Like we could get Jim Lee drawing 6 different Batman faces on this thing or whatever.
For real. Yeah. No, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm sorry that series didn't continue. I mean, I'm happy you're finding other work.
Like we were hoping to do another, season 2, and with what's Absolute Comics or whatever. I think that might be, stealing. Who knows? Hopefully, the Doom Patrol will live on, even if I'm not drawing it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Dennis had a good handle on the team as well. Yeah. So, and again, I mean, they're a crazy team, so it kind of lends itself to your, kind of designs and stuff. Although these are reasonably traditional looking headshots and body shots and everything.
Yeah. There's the more monstrous guys are elsewhere, but it's so much fun to draw Mummy. Like the first shit I ever liked was mummies, and always my first idea is how can we put a mummy in this? So getting to draw a mummy every other page is super fun.
How about the Brain and Moolah? Did you enjoy drawing them?
Oh yes, yeah, super fun. I love mummies and brains are like seriously my favorite thing to draw. And then everyone likes drawing gorillas too. So yeah, it's super fun. The robot gorilla I wasn't too super hot on. It's just like, oh, what does that robot head look like from the reverse angle? Like that design works perfect from the front, but then when you got to draw it from the side, it's like, how the fuck does this work? Whatever. I mean, that's I find that a little aggravating, but I think it worked out all right.
David brings up Nameless and wants to know if there was a mummy in Nameless. Another great.
There was a mummy in Nameless. There should have been sequel. I'm gonna email Grant now. Can we do a sequel just to give me a chance to draw a mummy? Yeah, I don't think we did. Everything else is in that book. I don't think there's a mummy.
Do you stay in touch with Grant? You of course, and again earlier I showed the image of Batman Incorporated, which
right.
was the big mainstream collaboration with Grant. But yeah, do you stay in touch with him?
I haven't talked to Grant in, I don't know, it might be a couple years now. He's busy with all sorts of crazy Hollywood shit at the moment. But I owe him an email. This putting a mummy in a Nameless sequel is a great idea.
What did his scripts look like compared to some of the others that you've worked with? Were they weird?
They're not crazy. It's like you don't like roll them up and smoke them to understand them. But like the fundamental difference I would say is that at the beginning of each maybe issue and maybe scene is like a big paragraph with just like the vibes that we're going for, like here's some music that I want this to feel like. Here's a movie I'm referencing. Here's a book I'm reading or whatever. So it just like dials in the sensibility first, and then it goes on. And like the panel by panel descriptions are pretty bare bones for the most part, but like front loaded with like here's the energy we're going for. And so I thought that was a pretty exciting way to like charge up my imagination ahead of time. Then when you're just reading a fairly normal 5-panel page about people punching each other, it's just like, how can I make this look like pop art and a William Burroughs novel or whatever the hell we're talking about.
And actually even going back to Kids Rule OK, does Vaughn let you really kind of design panels and beyond whatever action needs to be there?
It was all pretty spelled out. I think like close up, wide shot, over the shoulder, whatever. It was all most of it was all pretty spelled out. But obviously I'm the one drawing it, so I can adjust it if I need to. But then there's some stupid background jokes that are me. It's just like, well, I got to fill this alley up with something. So there's some weird references in the in the alley graffiti that box he's hiding behind. I'll let the reader can figure out that very stupid joke that no one has noticed yet. And this is funny. There's a that heart with a knife in it says BKV plus BTK. Just a total stupid joke. It's just like, I got to put something there. So that's what I did. Oh yeah, Oliver was like, "What is BTK?" And I was like, "Oh Jesus, man."
Oh, Brian wanted to know.
That is a serial killer. Yeah.
Nice, outstanding.
Yeah.
Jesus, you guys are. This is good. I'm glad this is happening. So is it just the one story then with Brian?
So far, I'd love to work with him again. I think the story turned out great. The script was great. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
okay.
Saga 2. Give me that.
Why not?
Give me that Saga money, goddammit.
Sure. That'd be great. Absolutely. Yeah, right. That's so funny. I haven't seen Vaughn in a while. Are you doing any shows this year?
I'm doing Fan Expo Chicago in like 3 weeks in sunny Rosemont. Very excited for that. I haven't been back in Chicago in forever. And I think that's it.
You think that's it?
I think that's it. I was considering New York, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make the timing work with keeping my kids alive.
I understand absolutely. God, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss you at Fan Expo Chicago. That's the same weekend as Terrificon in Connecticut. I'll be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So
Yeah,
God, of course,
say hi to Milford for me.
I will. And you say hi to Jeff Johns and
Nice, yes.
and everybody else that's going to be at.
I met Brian Hitch.
Fan Expo.
I met Brian Hitch in person at the Philadelphia show. Yeah, so all the Ghost. What is it? Ghost what? Ghost Empire?
Ghost Machine. Ghost Machine.
God damn it. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. All the Ghost Machine guys are going from Fan Expo show to Fan Expo show. So I saw them in Philly.
That's cool. Yeah, I was worried that Hitch was going to come to Chicago and I was going to miss Hitch. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, "No, I'm just doing Philly. I'm not doing Chicago." I'm like, "All right, good." So
yeah, great to see him in person. His convention sketches are amazing.
Really?
It just looks like, a Brian Hitch cover, just like, it's how are you doing that? And it's just like, it's so like casual. It's just like, it's just like, what the? Like I'm here, like every line, I'm just like carving it out of the universe, and he's just like, just looks like that, infuriating.
Well, first of all, I can appreciate that. I want to get back to you and con sketches in a second, but JW asks, he remembers that you do write and draw. When is your next creator-owned magnum opus coming?
I'm not being sorry. Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully, I will get around to doing something more substantial that I write and draw at some point. Thank you very much for asking. I don't know. One of these years, hopefully. I think the last thing I did was that Alfred story. I think that's the last thing I did. That was a DC. I wrote a short creep show story. Oh, I did this is me. No one owns this thing. There's a 2-page story I wrote and drew for Kyle Strom's horror anthology, Horrorium.
Sure.
One of the best things I've ever done. This weird, like little, really nasty 2-page horror story. It's semi-autobiographical. Like the first half is basically exactly what happened to me when I was in like 2nd grade, and then it's spun into horrific murder or whatever. But I did that for Kyle Strom's anthology, and I showed it to Robert Kirkman basically just like for the hell of it, and they liked it so much that they made me the lead-off artist on Creepshow, and then I ended up doing all the covers for Creepshow Volume 1. Series was nominated for an Eisner. Like my name wasn't written on the nomination form or whatever, but like I feel like I was the semi-public face of Creepshow that got nominated for Eisner. Pretty neat. Pretty happy with that. So it's all thanks to Kyle Strom asking me to draw 2 pages of horrific filth. So if, I don't know where you're ever going to find that comic, but it is dope. Kyle Strom's Horrorium.
Okay, good to know.
Get in there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so con sketches, and really Hitch has told me that in the last few years he kind of figured out a way to be satisfied with his art with less lines, and I know that's the case when he's cranking out pages now because he's really at a great clip. It's a far cry from
it's crazy,
back in the Ultimate days when we first were really getting to know his stuff, and even the Authority days and stuff. Yeah. So, what do you think when you say when you put in a con sketch versus, obviously a panel and the time to put it.
I mean, it's a totally different animal, and I'm largely accepted that a con sketch is going to be a little, looser and sketchier or whatever. Like, because when I'm doing it for real, I draw it small and then I bring it into Photoshop and print it out big. So I'm taking a couple cracks at it to get the proportions right and everything. But yeah, con sketch just like, here you are, right in front of you. You got to make it work. And so I find that my style is pretty dialed in when I'm working at home on like my real comics or whatever. But my con sketch style is all over the place. It's just like, well, this one's going to be open, and this next one's going to be heavily shaded, and this one's going to be like totally textured. It's just like that's how they're turning out today, man. I don't know.
No, that's great. Hey, man, truly,
Yeah.
I always prefer con sketches to original pages because to me that's like a private performance,
Mhm.
and it's okay if it's a little sloppy or whatever. It's like, no, he did this for me, or
Yeah.
she did this for me, and yeah, man, I'm shocked I don't have something from you, Burnham. I'm surprised I haven't bought anything from you.
Yeah, fuck off,
I
man.
I know, it sucks, man. A lot of
Well, it's a shame you can't get one from me at Fan Expo Rosemont in 2 weeks.
I know I won't be there. Damn it! I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that, but I'm glad you're coming. That's great, and of course, I'm sure you got a lot of friends here in town
Yeah,
that will say hello to you and
Yes, I'm
want to see you.
very excited. Haven't been to O'Hare Airport in 10 years or whatever.
You could do better than that. Yeah, make sure you get to the
Maybe.
city and everything. So I imagine, will you hang with Norton or Seeley or both? Or
I sure hope so. I don't think I haven't talked to them since. That revival news came out a couple months ago. So I was talking to Norton about that, and I ended up chatting with Seeley a little bit more just because he's working on a Local Man with Tony Fleece, and I'm in like a DM group with Tony. So I ended up like Tim just like enters my thoughts a fair amount just because Tony's always busted his balls or whatever.
I love Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, man. It's like, seriously, like Moreno and Fleece. Again, those are guys that and just like when you and I got to know each other and everything, man.
Yeah.
Those are the early days.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's great.
Moreno. I've known him since. I mean, it's a Chicago convention that I can't even remember what it was called. Like it was like a Radisson show in like downtown Chicago, and I have no idea what the name of the show was. But that's the first time I ever met Moreno. Was in a some ballroom at a Sheraton or whatever.
No, I get it, man. Isn't it? It's great too. I'm really happy for all you guys because I've literally in these 19 years have watched
Yeah.
your styles evolve, and the
Yeah.
fact that you guys get to work together. I think it's great. You and Jason are working on the Turtles and stuff, and yeah. And also, I don't know if Joe and you are going to ever do anything new. You had Nixon's pals back in the day. You had Officer Down.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he's back in it making Johnny Quest and whatever else he's working on. So
I know. I got to talk to him.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Very cool. That's great, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you talking.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm happy as hell for
Thank
you.
you for having me as always. I've known you forever. You've seen every single gray hair come in my head. You were there for this whole thing.
I remember when it was brown. I understand. Well, I got the Reed Richards sideburns going.
Yeah.
Otherwise I've
right
managed.
past you.
Well, you got 2 kids, man. That'll cause more gray hair. That's
yes,
all right.
No joke. For a while, every time they cried, I could feel another one go. Wow.
I totally hear you. Oh God, if only. Jesus. Well, let's see if any final questions. Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much, man. David, that's a very nice compliment. He says the casual deep dive vibe is unmatched. I am lucky enough as you are, David, to get to know some of these people and have this kind of relationship. So I always appreciate that. Burnham, we got some years between us. I'm not a young guy. I admit it, but no, it was nice that Chris is always a great warm guy. Man.
Yeah, hopefully we can do it again. And I haven't seen you in person in forever.
I know.
Maybe
man.
You're not real.
Maybe I'm not real. Maybe this is AI. That's very possible.
Well, yeah, you're back.
But no, man, I do.
So maybe it is AI.
I hope to see you sooner than later at a show, or I got to find a reason to. I mean, so many of my friends are still in Kansas City. Good Lord,
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah,
a
Parks.
Grip, the kids say.
What's that?
I said a grip. The kids say.
Yeah, man, Mellon and Parks and a lot of those guys, man. So, as I said, Claymore, definitely. Well, good luck, and again, everybody, you got to grab coming up here. I got to get the images again. First of all, in Battle Action, Kids Rule OK.
That comes out super. That's super soon. That's in August, so whatever, a couple weeks.
Excellent. And then when is your Donatello issue of Turtles?
I believe that's in October.
Okay, and it's regardless, folks, reach back to the Alpha issue of Turtles
Right.
for more great stuff from Jason Aaron and Burnham. And
Nice. And
yeah,
then,
man,
keep
and then
your eyes
otherwise-
peeled for Savage Sword of Conan number who knows.
That's great, man. No,
Yeah,
really beautiful stuff, man. And again, I love where the art's evolving, and as always, I appreciate talking to you, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John.
And I'll be talking to Keith Champagne on Wednesday, and we're going to
nice.
have a nice conversation. And then on Thursday afternoon, Owen McCauley from the Dublin Comic Con will be on evening time, his time. And God, Owen's doing a lot of really cool stuff beyond the convention, which is coming a week after Fan Expo Chicago and Terrificon in Dublin. So we'll talk about that show and more. Until next time, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.